Hello, from June 13th to June 15th, 2022, the Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce will be hosting the 16th edition of the Brazil-Canada Conference at PDAC, taking place in person in Toronto. We're also hosting the second Brazil-Canada Virtual Mining Conference at PDAC that started on March 7th and will continue until May 31st. I'm Carolina Albernas, CEO of the Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here today with Christian Milau, CEO at Equinox Gold, a multi-asset mining company and one of the only gold producers of scale operating entirely in the Americas. So Christian, welcome and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Carolina. Good to be back.
So Equinox Gold has grown very quickly over the last 4 years, from a single asset developer to now having 8 mines in production. Why was it important for the company to grow so quickly?
Yeah, we just felt that what was the right time in the gold cycle to build a company when gold was, it was between $1,000 and $1,200-$1,300 an ounce, and we felt that getting to scale was really important for all stakeholders, including investors and our business and that generally, because once you get to scale and you have diversity, you're able to weather storms. You're able to build a business that's more able to survive well through cycles and turmoil and that. And we felt that having at least 4 to 6 assets across the Americas was the best way to do that. And so we were very quick to go out and buy assets when we felt the prices were reasonable and we could put a business together.
Great. So when we spoke last year, we were in the process of acquiring Premier Gold. Can you tell us about that transaction?
Yeah, we were a bit opportunistic in that one. We weren't necessarily looking very hard to buy anything at that stage because we'd grown to a good size. But when we saw Premier, we were able to get what's going to be the 4th largest gold mine in Canada in that portfolio called Greenstone, and a couple of other smaller assets. And in the meantime, what we've done is we've started construction on Greenstone, and we've been able to sell Mercedes in Mexico, spin out the Nevada assets into a new company, and realize that there are a few more assets in that portfolio. So we basically got 60% of the 4th largest mine in Canada for not free, but for very cheap, relatively speaking. And we felt that that was just too good a deal to pass up, and it really balanced and rounded out our portfolio.
Great. So on March 30th, you also announced the first gold pour at the new Santa Luz mine. And now you've got 4 producing mines in Brazil. Can you tell us about Santa Luz and your other Brazilian assets?
Yeah, so we now have a good scalable operation in Brazil, and we felt that that was really important. It's better to run a business in Brazil where there's a reasonable amount of tax and bureaucracy when it comes to permitting and regulations and that if you have multiple mines, you're able to share some of your skills and your abilities. And we have a really good team in Belo that actually manages the overall operation. And Santa Luz started pouring gold just recently, as you said, a few weeks ago, and it's ramping up right now. There's still a few teething pains, but we figure in May there it should be running fairly well, certainly by the end of Q2. And it'll be 100,000 ounces of gold production for hopefully many, many years to come. And it's just down the road, about 70 kilometers from Fazenda, which is also in Bahia State. And so we'll have a district, a big greenstone belt with 2 mines in it that we can kind of share some skills and maybe some people and some certainly exploration. And when we find more gold, we can actually decide where it goes, which plant it goes to. So we think that's a big district with lots of potential. And then Aurizona up in the north in Maranhão is 130,000 ounces of production. And we've been actually exploring around that area. We've got a large land package. And again, it's very prospective, like in Bahia. And so we think it'll eventually be 150 to 60,000 ounces of production with an underground mine included. And many, many years will be there, we hope, because it's really an interesting deposit and perspective. And then we have a smaller mine, let's say one last mine, RDM in Minas Gerais, which is on the smaller end of things for us. It's been a challenge recently with the rains and with certain permitting challenges, but it's potentially going to be a 100,000 ounce producer in due course.
Yeah, very, very exciting. And you're also building a new mine in Canada. Can you tell us about that project?
Yeah, so basically in Ontario, Greenstone is the big mine, and it'll be 400,000 ounces of production. It'll take us 2 years to build. It's $1.2 billion in capital. We have 60% of that we have to fund, so it's a very big project. But it'll be one of the biggest mines in Canada, and the value of a 400,000 ounce producer in Canada is massive. I think Pretium just got sold for $3.5 billion, and so we'll own 60% of a mine of a similar scale to that. So it's off to a very good start, and it was meant to be built after Santa Luz was done, and so that's what's happening right now, and it should be in production in the first half of 24.
So I guess you're on the track, as you mentioned, to produce 1 million ounces of gold per year, right? So with all the mines in Brazil and in Canada, and do you need to do more M&A to get there?
No, we don't. We now have a portfolio of 8 producing mines and sort of 4 to 5 projects. And with advancing those projects, we should be over 1 million ounces. It may not be in 2024, but probably 2025. And it's really just building out our development projects and bringing them into production. So there'll be some high quality mines that come into production over the next few years, and that should take us over the 1 million ounces.
Wow. And how does exploration play in your growth plans?
It's somewhat secondary to our developments in terms of certainly dollars and spend, but it's a very important part. We spend about $30 to $40 million a year, primarily focused on our shorter life mines. So there's a couple in Brazil, there's one in California, certainly that we spend a bunch of money on trying to extend the mine lives, and we're also looking for new deposits as well. But it'll be sort of the second sort of leg to the plan for growth.
We've been talking a lot about ESG in the past few years since the pandemic hit, something that's not new to the mining sector, but increasingly important to investors. What are Equinox Gold's top ESG priorities?
You know, for us, because we're, call it a fairly new company here, where we've come together very quickly, one of the things for us was getting data gathered and shared with, you know, the investor universe or stakeholders. So we've actually gone to gathering that data and putting it on our website on a quarterly basis, which is, I think, quite unique. We don't just do an annual ESG report. And also we're looking to do things like commit to sort of net zero and carbon neutrality eventually. And so we've been trying to figure out where are our biggest carbon emissions coming from. And I think clearly it comes from your diesel trucks spread around the world, and also your power plants. And so we're looking at ways that we can reduce our carbon footprint. So that's one area that we'll be focusing on. Water management is another big area. We've just put in a water treatment plant for our community up in Arizona in northern Brazil. And we're also probably going to do the same sort of thing in Mexico for the community there. But we're also looking how we could reduce our water usage at our mines and recycle more and maybe filter it and actually just conserve it. Although at the moment in Brazil, there's actually too much water. The rains have been incredible this year. So it's really just an overall water management planning. And also just all the community social relationships we have are something that's very high on the focus for us. And we have had challenges in Mexico over the last few years. So we're trying to continue to build upon relationships that we do have and make sure they're as strong as possible. We're fortunately starting in most locations with very good relationships with our communities. And I think we're seen as a really good contributor to everything that's going on in the communities. And you know, so it's a very broad ESG platform, and there's a lot going on, but it's happening very quickly for us because we're a very new company.
Wow, this is very exciting. So congratulations to all your achievements in the last few years. It's been amazing to see how much Equinox is growing and developing. So congratulations to you and your team. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time and for your support. Equinox Gold is one of our gold sponsors of the 16th edition of the Brazil-Canada Conference at PDAC series of events. And we look forward to seeing some of your team. I hope some of the Brazilian team is coming for PDAC in June. We'll be able to host them here as well. So stay tuned, as we will be announcing more information about our in-person events taking place in June. And for information of those in-person events, please go to our website, www.braskenchamber.org/PDAC. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much, Christian. It's been a pleasure having you here today, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Carolina. Great to be here.